everybody, how's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys notice this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, a podcast show some magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, long fans cover the creative workflow, other famous musicians, and understand the facts to make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom needs. Get 100 off your entire business using the code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Links to our podcast below. We are also the number 22 ranked metal music podcast according to millionpodcast.com. 21 more spots to climb, everybody, but yeah, we doing it. Now's that feature presentation. You want heavy music? Yep, we're going all deathcore on you. We've got Pyscho-Frame here on the podcast. Mike joins us with the band's brand new album, Salvation Laughs in the Face of a Grieving Mother, coming out on July 25th. Not only do we get to go through this album, figure out exactly how they created these songs and which songs of the non-singles still stand out, but Mike dives deep into the mindset he has around waiting for this ride to stop, which is really interesting. But when we dive into the why and understand exactly how he thinks about this, I think you get a deeper appreciation for the band, even if you haven't heard about them yet. It's manic, it's crazy, it's fun. Let's go! Yeah. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. When you like deathcore music and Revolver Magazine labels this band as one of the top 5 deathcore bands right now, you're going to want to pay attention, especially when they got a debut LP coming out. Yeah, we said that, and there's a lot of buzz around it, a lot of hype around it. You know it's going to be worth it, especially if Sharp Tone Records is putting their name behind the band, signing them to a record deal. But enough about that. We got a great album coming up from this band called Salvation Laughs in the Face of Grieving Mother, coming out on July 25th, 2025. So before you check it out, before you get a chance to check it out, let's get that great preview of it, but also get to know the band a little bit more. So please welcome Mike from Pyscho-Frame, the podcast. So Mike, welcome to Chord Progression Podcast.
Yo, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on, man, dude. How is everything going in your world today? Of course, we are getting closer and closer and closer to the release of the brand new album, but how you feeling right now, man?
I'm feeling good. We just put out a new single yesterday, Black Wave 2, and that was cool because we put up our second press of the record as well because we completely sold out of the first one, got rid of all the physicals and everything, which I've never experienced before. So that's I don't know. That's new to me. That's really cool. And then, we put up some more vinyl that started moving pretty quick too. Because I was convinced that I was like, okay, that's it. There's no way people want more. The people who want it got it. And then didn't go that way. So that's really cool. People seem like they're liking the song. And yeah, I mean, we're only a month away. So I'm just kind of I'm just ready to get it out because I really love the record. And I was really scared going into it because I know people talk about how unrelenting the band is and how high energy it is the whole time and we never stop. And all of those things are true because that's what the whole album is like. So I was I really hope people like this album because it's 11 songs of that. And it seems like people really like the singles. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty good gauge that when you put out a, first pressing for orders for the album, that it's sold out, and then going into it again and putting out more pressings, just ordering more so that you had more to give out and people are still ordering it. It goes beyond that point of what you said. The people that want it got it, which of course is true, but more people wanted it than you maybe expected, especially for a debut record. Of course, I know you guys got songs that came out earlier, an EP that came out earlier as well. But when it comes to the first debut album and, having to order more and more pressings, it brings forward that fact that, whatever you're creating, whatever the nerve is, it's not necessarily saying that there's an expectation there, but it's just the singles that have been released so far, people are behind them, people want them, and people want to hear the rest of the album, and they want to have it in that physical manifestation because, yes, vinyl is a lot more popular as time goes on, even though it was very popular back when it first came out, that it dipped due to how audio was being portrayed, how audio was being delivered, and now it's kind of a positive, nostalgic, physical way to still have it, especially in a digital world. People want that kind of stuff, and if, especially again, for a first album, it's coming out that way and people are getting into it, then they want more Pyscho-Frame. They want that energy. They want that balls to the wall feel. And the record is going to give that to them in 11 straight songs.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I do agree about like the popularity of vinyl. Like and I think it's valid. It's cool because like, I don't know, I started collecting vinyl recently in just like the last like 3 years. So the second I like fall in love with a record, I buy it immediately. Or especially if I like find it in the wild at like a store or something. So oh no, it's cool. I think and like I do agree. I think people are latching on to the singles, and I think I just underestimated like the ability for the band to like gain more fans because like I am always kind of ready for the ride to be over, like for it to be like, okay, we've done the most that we can, like no one else is gonna get into this. I think I underestimated I think I got the exact opposite. I think more people keep coming to the band since the singles have been coming out. So maybe that's why we're still selling records, is these people are showing up late and they're like, I wasn't even there for the first press. So and if you are one of those people, thank God for you, bro.
Oh, even while I was on, right before this interview, I was on good old Facebook and I saw someone post a list. One of my friends' Facebook post a list of like their top albums of the year. And they had like, this list is going to get destroyed when these bands release records. And Pyscho-Frame was one of them. So I had to mention like, well, I can tell you that if you like deathcore, that's definitely going to be the case because, well, I've listened to it and I get to interview him. So woohoo! But before jumping into some of that stuff further, because what you said really sparked my interest and sparked my curiosity when you said it seems like you're always waiting for the ride to be over and waiting for this like creative, expression of yours and the rest of the guys in the band can kind of stall out. That just kind of gets me a little confused because I know for a lot of artists, they want to keep pushing. They don't want to think about that. But maybe in your mind, why do you think that way? I'm just curious about that because I can think of all the reasons why this ride is continuing on and why it keeps surprising you at every turn. But I'm curious to get in your mindset of why you were thinking that way.
So it's mainly just like a thing. So like how many bands come and go within the span of like say 5 years, right? Like a band can be like really hot for a moment and then like I don't know, it just kind of bottoms out and they kind of go away or what, maybe they keep going and like just run it until the wheels fall off kind of thing, which respect. um I guess I'm just always like when I say like the ride being over, I more so mean like again like have we done all that we can and have we reached everybody that we can? And I think I'm just constantly surprised to see again that just not be true. So like I'm waiting for the ride to be over in the sense of like, all right, if y'all want to be done with me, like and and you're over it, like that's fine, I guess. But like I'm having a lot of fun with the band. Everyone's having a lot of fun with the band. And like the response that we're getting, like it has always been kind of overwhelming to me in the sense of like I did not expect people to like this as much as they did because I started the band without the intention of doing anything with it. Like we wanted to put out one EP that was just this genre of music that like we really liked like growing up and we knew what it was like back in the day. So we wanted to make something that was like kind of an homage to that, but we were like, dude, we know this like the back of our hand. Like and like we're seasoned, we've been around for a while, so like when me and Hunter were like even just conceptualizing the band, like who's gonna be in it, everything, like we were like, dude, we've got this in the bag. We can make a good EP out of this. We didn't have an intention to play a show or do anything. So like to be at this point now, the whole thing is just like a huge surprise for me still, like day in, day out. So I think that's why I'm waiting for the ride to be over, is mainly just the preconception of like this wasn't meant to be what it is now. And like it's super humbling and it's great. Um so I'm not waiting for the band to, die and break up because I'm over it or something like that. I'm just like, holy shit, like you guys keep liking the band. Like that's crazy. Like when does like the dream kind of stop? Do you know what I'm saying?
I get a better understanding of what you're saying, because when you set out to do something, especially on your own, especially in any kind of creative space, you never know how it's going to go, and you always set up an expectation for yourself, whether it is really, really far out of reach and you think you can do, or maybe you just set up as, I'm just going to have fun with this. But when things continue to go in the opposite direction, maybe if you set your goal so far ahead, like I'm going to be the greatest to ever do this, and you're not getting it in the span that you thought it was, it makes you kind of wonder about that and changes your perception up. Or where you are with Pyscho-Frame, starting it and never really expecting something like this to take off, and then it continuing to grow and grow to the point where you're wondering, I'm not really sure where, like, how far this is going to go, or like, when is this ride going to be over? But the other portion that kind of puts in with this is the numbers game, because I'm assuming, especially looking through the bio that I was able to find on you guys, like you've been in the music scene for quite some time. And of course, anybody that's, just can conceptualize the music scene. Yes, we see a lot of the great success stories, but how many of those bands what's the percentage of bands that make it to that level versus the ones that never do? And it's a vast majority. So when you think about it from a numbers perspective, again, the majority of artists never really make it out of maybe that like initial stage or even that local scene. So it works in conjunction with that, beyond that, with just the style of music, because heavy music like this, especially with the up-tempo pace, the manic idea behind it, traditionally has not had that large of a grouping or that large of a fan base. It's had a very dedicated fan base, but when comparing it to other genres like country, like rap, hip-hop, pop music, or just, good old rock music, it's a much smaller, more maybe specific kind of taste. But as the years have gone on, especially since the pandemic, and we've seen a lot more people in pop culture, or in culture just in general, start to, deviate a little bit more back towards that heavier side, where we're seeing, again, I think I brought this up plenty of times, we're seeing the absolute emergence of bands like, from the past 5 years, Electric Callboy, Spirit Box, Bad Omens, Lorna Shore, Sleep Token, Knocked Loose. There's an absolute taste for it right now. There's an absolute want for it, because people are connecting with it in so many other ways, where I'm not saying you guys came out at the perfect time with this kind of stuff, but where it is there's more of a taste for it right now. There's more of a people that are focused in on it right now, that are connecting with it because that's the way they're feeling. That's the way that music is really hitting them in their souls. So feeling like, you're waiting for the ride to be over, playing the numbers game and playing that expectation game, it makes sense why, with the sound that you have, why you're thinking that way, even this continues to grow more and more every single day.
Yeah. And like, I want to touch on like the dedication of like the fans as well, because like that is something this band kind of has always had in spades since day one. Like, when people tend to hop on and like start liking this band, like it seems like they're ready to just like, I don't sometimes I'm like, I think you guys would die for this band. like like and that is like, that has been like such a cool, like, I don't know, just crazy experience. Because like I remember last year, whenever we started doing like some of our first like supporting shows, like we did a run with Spite and Body Snatcher on their co-headliner, and then we did Dying Fetus right after that for a few days at like the end of their tour. um Both of those are, I kind of didn't know what to expect, especially from the Dying Fetus shows. And just the amount of people that were like so excited to see us, and like they, like it's just us. Like we don't have like a crew or anything, so like we're selling our own merch and stuff, and we're like we're in the thick of it with, all the people at the show. And like the kind of interactions that we got there were like, I don't know, they were so good, and like we still experience that now, like even on our last tour with Angel Maker. So like, like we go to a show in a city we've never been to, and like a squad of anywhere from 2 to 5 people are all together. They're all wearing Pyscho-Frame stuff, and like they've like made us gifts and stuff, and it's like I don't know. That's so cool. Like I've never experienced that before, and like I hang on to all of that stuff, and like it really means a lot, and like just like again, just like speaks to the dedication, and like that is something that we've had a lot of, and like it's just cool. So like going into the album, I'm just like I don't know. I love the album, and like and I love the people that love this band, and I hope those two I hope that those two separate things like stay married going into the album. And it feels like it will, but going into it I was scared.
I totally understand the nerves going into it, just how you described it. And when you brought up how you feel like, some people would just like absolutely give everything for this band. When I brought up that one person from earlier, and I just had to pull up on my phone, and when they responded to me, they said, Pyscho-Frame is like in my veins, and then posted a literal picture of you guys with them. So I'm like, okay. Like, I see
Oh,
you
that's so
guys.
awesome.
So it just absolutely makes sense. So shout out to Jack Travis Raymond. Just wanted to give him an actual shout out on this because that was his picture. But it makes sense, especially when you have that connection with the fans and you're growing that connection on those tours with Spite, with Diabetes, with Angel Wake, and you're seeing it continue to grow and grow. And with such a dedicated fan base, it's something that really hits with you. Because this is your art, this is your creation, and it is having such a positive impact on people's lives that they are so connected to the band and they want to see you succeed as much as possible, that you want to have this feeling that, the record that you put your absolute blood, sweat, tears, heart, soul, whatever you want to say you put into it, is going to stay connected with them, so that that dedication can not only continue to grow for the band, but also throughout the rest of your band's history as well. And of course, after listening through the entire thing, if the singles are already popping off and the singles are getting people more and more connected to it, like you're seeing with more pre-orders for the vinyl, after listening through the whole entire thing, yeah, it's gonna have that effect. I would say not to worry, but especially when it comes to it being, your art, your creation, your passion, you're gonna worry until you actually see the results come that final week of July when it's actually out.
Yeah, it's true.
It's gonna be something that's interesting. I do want to dive a lot more in the album too, to get more people especially jazzed up about this, get ready to go. So when it came to writing Salvation Laughs in the Face of Grieving Mother, what was this creation process like? What was your mindset going through this whole entire thing?
Bigger and better. Like we know who we are, and like what our identity is, the band is, but like 2 EPs deep, like after we finished Automatic Death Protocol, yeah, honestly, every time we finish something, we're like, oh man, what's next? What do we do next? Kind of thing. From the moment that we released Remote God Seeker up till now, this is the most actualized version of what we set out to do. Like it is in my eyes like the band at its absolute max. Like these are the coolest songs that we've ever done. They're definitely the heaviest, and the way that the album like flows like throughout the whole runtime, I think is just awesome. Yeah, we play a bunch of fucking breakdowns, right? But like and like the whole thing is that like we're like a technical band. Like we're doing all of that, but like I don't know, we like Dave and Hunter are they're amazing players and amazing writers, and like by the time that we got to like what would be the final instrumentals, I was just kind of blown away, because I was like, man, I honestly cannot believe that you crafted this perfect bomb, because it's crazy. And like leading into it, like, so okay, the songs that came out on Feed, the like little 2-song EP that we put out
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the spring, those were part of the writing process for the album. But we wanted to put out something because we got Coulter, our new second singer, and we were like, let's just put something out. And we had like talked to the label and everything. And they were like, okay, well, we like these two songs a lot. Like, how do you feel about that? And we said, yeah, we love these songs. These are cool. Like, and we had talked about them maybe being on the album and everything, but we were just like, no, let's not, because like as a listener, I get like a little bummed when like you have like singles that came out like maybe like way before, or like I don't know, just like there's like a certain like period of separation where I'm like, maybe that shouldn't have been on the album, because I'm gluttonous when it comes to this, and I'm like, when I really love a band, I just want more songs, you know? Like I get bummed when an artist is like, yeah, we put out a single last year, maybe we put out a single this year, the album comes out in the fall, and it turns out like both of those singles just end up on the album. We really only wrote 6 new songs since then. Here's the album, kind of thing. So we were just like, okay, we're just gonna give them a bunch of fucking music. And it turns out I loved every song. So, yeah, going into it, we were just like, yeah, man, bigger, better, faster, heavier. You know, it's a pretty simple way to go about it, and it's kind of just what any artist does, right? Like you just want to do the better version of what you did before, and we didn't want to change it up or like try and, I don't know, show something where it's like we could become something new in the future or something like that, because we're very, very true to just being a deathcore band, like a deathcore band, like at its heart, um, inspired by, you know, music of old, and like inspired by fucking real death metal, real slam, like just really good shit that we love. And like we take those things and we're just like, what's our spin on it? And it became this album. And like I like my own personal taste, like I do think it is just an amazing, amazing record, and like one of my favorites of the genre. That's just my personal taste. That's, you know, um and I'm really proud of it. And like the amount of work that the guys put into it, and like all of us together, like I mean, and the tracking progress process was hilarious and awesome and such a good time. And like, I don't know, we just like, it felt really good walking away from like tracking the album to eventually like hearing like, you know, mixes and stuff like that. And, you know, we mix, track, do everything in house. Like this is us, you know, no one else like touches this. And if it is anyone outside of the band that touches it, like our friend Austin Coop, like he did some co-production on Black Wave 2 that had just come out, and like banger job, you know, gave us like our really cool ending to that song, because we were trying to we were trying to figure it out, and we know that Austin's a breakdown scientist. Um, but Austin's also like so close to the band, and like we're just like, okay, yeah, we keep this whole thing in our circle. This is us. Like we are the ones doing this kind of thing. And yeah, I'm just really proud of it. And like the process going into it was just like, we're gonna do better. We're gonna make this thing the best we can.
That's the one thing that every artist wants to do, is how can we make this the best we can? How can we make this better than what we've already done? How can we amplify this for what we're feeling at this moment, what we want to go towards today? But what you said, there's one thing I absolutely agree with you, and there's one thing I have to disagree with you on, but you'll like why I disagree with you in a moment. The one thing I have to agree with you on is when it came to release this album, yes, you know, we're recording this a month before the album releases and you only have 2 singles out. You released the 2-song EP early that were written during this recording session. But I absolutely agree with you when it comes to artists that release singles so much earlier, and then by the time the album comes out, it's, you know, you might have a couple new songs only there and that's it. A great example of that, the opposite side, would be what Falling in Reverse did last year with the Popular Monster album, because the Popular Monster song came out in 2019. And that was like, and like the other songs that were on there, there were 2 singles from 2022, and there were 2 singles from 2023 before the album got announced that were on there. So it was like, we're getting half an album here, if that. So it just kind of just soured a lot of people on the album, especially in the rock and metal space. Now, I know how streaming works. We all know that the single focus push really gets a lot of artists a lot more press, just given how music delivery is in 2025. But when it comes to a collection of songs, especially in the rock and metal space, where people still connect with albums and still want that full thing and want that experience of album release day, if you release singles so far in advance, it really sours that experience and makes the album less special than it was before. Granted, you can still release singles throughout, but what you guys did with a 2-song EP earlier this year, that was the way to go about it. So I agree with you there. One thing I have to disagree with you on is when you said with this album, it was like the max of what the band could do. I have to disagree because it's the max of what you guys can do so far. Because after going through this thing, there are a lot of pieces here that show me that there is so much more for you guys to not only explore and look at, but also just try and have fun with. There are different songs on there that use different ideas, use different tempos, that use different like influences of other styles that you threw in here, and it works out incredibly well when you do so. So I'm always going to be curious to see where that expansion of sound can go next. And when a band has an album where you wonder, okay, this is great, but now I'm curious about what's going to come next, because there is a vision for that expansion of sound, but you don't know exactly where it's going to go. That gets people more and more invested into where you're going next, what's going to happen with the band. How is this going to continue forward? It's like watching your favorite, TV series, and now you're left in a cliffhanger for the season. It's like, this is season 1, and now I'm already going to be waiting for season 2 to come out, whenever you guys are ready to release season 2, aka the second album of Pyscho-Frame. So there's a lot here. There's a lot of intricacies that you guys put into these songs that just work out so well for the songs themselves. But as us fans, it gets us to question what's going to come next, but not question it in terms of I'm wondering and I'm just like not sure, but I'm wondering and due to excitement.
I appreciate that. And we'll figure that out. We'll be back in the lab again and being like, okay, what's the next thing? And I agree. There's things on there where we do some things we've never done before, but I'm excited. We've already got some ideas cooking. There's some things that we want to do, but as a full actualized album, we're we don't know yet. But that's kind of also just the process of making an album. It's just we're just making things until they resonate, there's some tracks that were full completed instrumental songs that we left behind on the record. And I actually even went back to them probably a week ago, and I still agree with those decisions. I'm like, this wasn't it quite yet. Totally fine song or whatever, but it wasn't what we wanted, and that's just kind of the trial and error of the whole thing. That's what anyone experiences, but we'll figure that out. But thank God I don't have to do it right now. And we can just focus on this thing that we've made, and just hope that people resonate, because again, we put our whole ass into it, and I just think it's awesome.
Well, even with those instrumental songs too that you didn't include on the record, with the success of the EPs you've had in the past, you very well could put those songs in like a quick release EP that just comes out of nowhere in 6-7 months after the release of this album. And it's like, okay, we got great songs that are, we did during this recording session that didn't really fit the album in terms of where the full construction was going to go. But because they still fit as a collective together, we can release them later on. And now you're continuing to explore further of what the sound could be and show people continually where that idea is going to go. And when the next album comes around, yeah, you have no idea where it's going to go. You're not trying to plan it out. You're trying to see where this album goes. And then as it gets put out there and as time goes on, where is your mindset going to be? Where's the influence going to be for how you're feeling? Where is that going to take you further as a band? It's going to continue to take you further. And us as fans, we're just going to be more and more curious to see where that is. But again, it's not curiosity out of, I just want to know where they're going to go. It's curiosity out of excitement of, I really, really want to see them do well. And I'm very, very excited for when they release stuff to figure out what's going to come next.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think we'll deliver then, because again, like, we know what we're setting out to do. We know, like, kind of, again, like, we just know what the band's identity is. And like, those are things that, constantly have to evolve and grow as any artist keeps going. But we're very in touch with like who the band is, kind of thing. And so when that time comes, we'll be ready.
Oh, I know you'll be ready when it's getting in touch with what the band is and where the band comes from. This is going to be a great question I love to ask. So when it comes to the brand new album, again, Salvation Laughs in the Face of the Grieving Mother, there are 2 songs out of the 11 that, as of this recording, are out right now: Blueprints for Idle Genocide and Black Wave 2. But there are 9 that have not been released yet. And that's where the excitement comes in, because it's like, what still do we have left to go? And there's a lot left. So my question, Mike, is not what is your favorite song on this record, but out of those non-singles, which is the song that you are most excited for people to hear on release day, and why?
So, and no one in the band like seems to agree with me on this. Mine is Apocalypse through Lysergic Possession. That it's like I think that's track 6. I think that song is so awesome, and like is just like it. So that's one that Dave wrote through and through. He wrote the lyrics for it and everything, and they're honestly hilarious because it's about like the short version of saying it is about like a Satanist who goes on like a mushroom trip and like creates a bomb and is like, I'm gonna bomb the Church of Scientology. And it's like it when he came to us with the song, I was like, so this is the vibe? And he was like, yeah, man, this is the vibe. And I was like, honestly, I fuck with it. But I don't know. I just think that song's awesome. And like, I think that one's awesome. I think the track before it, Agonal Devotion, is also, just an awesome song. That's track 5. God is Busy. Like that's an awesome track. My answer shifts. Like, my defined answer though is Possession. And my runner up is the final track on the record, because final track on the record has my favorite like break section that we call Future Music, in which we kind of just like everything kind of goes off the rails for like this like solid minute, and then you get thrown back into like regular like kind of like pop song structure. Because like there's a couple tracks on here where it's like, yeah, there's like, there's a chorus per se. It's hard to, it feels like kind of silly sometimes to call something a chorus when like you're playing deathcore, because I'm like, bro, I'm like, especially in a band like this where it's just like Yeah, it's a chorus, but this chorus is also at 280 BPM. So like whatever. It's just repeating parts. And I think that song is awesome. Um, but the probably the most like left field track is I Won't Be There to Watch You Go. Super short song and probably has like the actual like most different feel of any song on the record. Because a lot of the guys in this band like love and come from hardcore, especially like in the writing process. So like we've always tried to like throw some elements in there, like do some things that like isn't super prevalent in most modern deathcore. And that song, despite it being like I think it's less than 2 minutes, like just short of it. I think it's like 148 or something like that.
Yeah, 148, 149.
Man, I'm good. But I think what we did in that song is like I don't know, it's pretty balls to the wall, but at the same time, like there's something about it that feels like a little more simple, a little bit more that's just like, yeah, we just kind of did something that like more reflects like who we are like at our core. And like we always say that like within the band, like we always say like, yeah, we're a deathcore band, but like we're like mainly hardcore dudes like playing deathcore. And like that song to me is like probably the biggest reflection of that. And that may or may not come off to the listener without me saying anything to them, you know. But I think that song's awesome. Filleted and Fucked, banger. Um, but my answer is Apocalypse through Lysergic Possession. I think that song bangs.
So what I loved about that was you not only gave us like your pick at the beginning, but then you were going through like, well, then there's this song, then there's this song. And it just shows that, you know, not only you, but the rest of the members of the band, it's like you're all going to have different, you know, ones that stand out to you. But then that's going to leave the audience having ones that stand out differently to them. Because it feels like at the same time, if everyone's like, oh, yeah, this is the song we're waiting for everyone to hear on release day. Yeah, that song's going to be an absolute banger because everyone's connecting with it. But is that going to be the only one? There's always going to be questions thrown in there. I get what you're talking about with Possession and why that song stands out so much because for me, it was like, okay, this song might have a little bit of this like similarity, so maybe a different song on the record. But then I think it was around the 1 minute 20-second mark. All of a sudden, the aggression just comes in. There are brief pauses in between these certain parts. They're not very long. They're like maybe a quarter of a second or half a second. And it just really creates this massive amount of just intensity into the song that you really needed to have that point stand out. And that's where that song really grows. I also couldn't get enough of the, you know, the mindset and the story behind where that song coming from was, you know, a Satanist on a mushroom trip trying to start something to bomb the Church of Scientology. All I could think about at that point was if you replace Satanist with Eric Cartman, that's one hell of a South Park episode to follow up the Scientology one from 2005.
That as soon as you said that, I'm like, of course, that like has to be like where it starts. I don't know if that's where Dave thought he was starting, but it would make sense that Dave made that not knowing he was writing a South Park episode. Because like I know Dave loves South Park, and honestly, Dave could have came to the table with like anything, and like I was like, you know, if it flows good and it feels good, like I'm in, you know. But he came with that, and I was like, yeah, this is just so perfectly you. Like I'm changing nothing. Like we no edits, you know, we didn't change a single thing about what he wrote for that song. And I don't know, I thought it was hilarious, and I thought like it, but I also felt like it fit the tone and just did everything I guess I wanted the song to do. And also it's Dave. Dave's like just awesome. He's the coolest guy I know. And I was like, you've done it again, you son of a bitch. You've made something awesome again. Good for you. Let's run it.
Or it's like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. Just
this as soon as I got it, that's exactly my first thought. I was like, all right, here we go. Bombing Scientology for the day.
I mean, I'm down with it. I enjoy the idea behind it. The other song that I know you brought up a couple of times, but the one that really stood out to me of the unreleased tracks is, of course, I Will Be There to Watch You Go, the 1 minute 48, 1 minute 49 hardcore inspired, influence song. The reason that stood out to me was because, one, I looked at the track list, I'm like, this is clearly going to be the oddity on the record. It just stood out when you just look at the time frame. But I got excited for it because I didn't know exactly where you guys were going to go with it. And I've been getting a lot more into the current style of hardcore that you're seeing right now with bands like Knock Loose, Kubla Khan, see what Alpha is doing, Counterparts, Throne, Drain, Fox Lake, Mugshot, Throat Cut. So I'm kind of just really into that kind of style. And I was curious to see if you guys were going to use that kind of influence with deathcore to see how it was going to come together. And right after I got done listening to the song, I'm like, this is the one on the record for me. No doubt about it, because the guitar tone, the blend of the pace with that hardcore music style, using deathcore as the base of it, it confuses your mind of what's going on in the best way possible, because you're confused of exactly where the song is going to go, what the heck is happening, but it just gives that aggressive energy so far forward that you just want to go and see. Maybe they can explore this a little bit more. Maybe it goes deeper. I don't know. But all I know is this excited the ever-loving hell out of me.
That is definitely like one of, if not the tracks where you're right. It is like an oddity, but it is like one of, if not the track where I'm like, that is something that we can explore more. Like we can just like lean in a little bit more to that, like on some future stuff, stuff like that. And like, again, like, that's just cool to me. Like, I'm glad that one resonated with you. It was a pain to track, dude, because like the whole like first verse, like, so musically it does not feel that fast. Vocally, it is fast. And I'm like, I remember tracking that song, and I was tripping up like so much. And like that was the hardest song to track on the record. And like I had to go to mental war to like make it happen. But like, again, I just ended up being so happy with the song, like by the time that it was over, and just happy to be done with it because I spent so long tracking it. That song's awesome. And like that minute 48, like I think is just a little bit of chef's kiss.
Well, even though if it's difficult to track, I hope it's not too difficult to play live, because that's one that's going to be a live, just insanity piece. It's going to be nuts.
They're all hard to play live. It just kind of comes with the territory. Like every song this band plays live is, they're tough. Like the band is like, and it's hard on everybody. It's technical for every single person, even the singers. So like, this just kind of comes with the territory. So like anytime we write something, I'm like, that's going to be tough. Like I'm like, well, that's kind of what we do. So like, we're just going to figure it out in rehearsal and make it happen. And yeah, we'll make that happen. It's also way easier, like, at least as the singer of a band, like tracking something is one thing, especially like when it's like, oh, I just wrote this song, it's time to track it and everything. When you know the song, it's different.
Oh, it's definitely going to be much different, but I'm still excited to hear this song played live, because it's going to be that moment where, especially in my mind, I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
The pit's going to be fun. It's been fun the whole time right now. Yeah, I don't care. This is the one that I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
It's going to be... And again, there's going to be a lot of songs on this record that people are going to have that moment, especially in the pit, like, we're waiting for this one. It's going to give them that extra boost of adrenaline energy. I think God Is Busy is another one of those tracks, too. And it also stands out because from my mindset, we're seeing a lot of the differentiating vocals here in the contrasting styles of uncleans. We're seeing the ones that have the lower gutturals, then the higher, little bit of a higher pitch in there, and they just contrast very well. And a lot of times we're seeing which song has that focus of which one's going to be the lower, deeper focus, which is going to be the higher, a little bit more, screeching focus as the core of the track when it comes to the vocal sound. With God is Busy, it's definitely on the higher side. But I like that being the focus on that track because it creates this feeling of just like more aggressive, just insanity instead of this more like deep demonic feel. When you think God is Busy, I was thinking like this song was written about, you're maybe hoping for something, or maybe hoping for just not necessarily divine intervention, but just some like help, like, hey, can I get some help here? And it's like, you look up the sky and it's like, out fishing sign is on God's door. It's like, well, what the hell? And then you get just all angry and aggressive about it. But that amplification of the higher unclean vocals just really stood out to bring that forward. And I love to see that there's some other songs in here that have that a little bit more focus, because it shows where that contrast in terms of the deeper sounds or some of those higher aggressive sounds, where they can pull out different pieces of meaning to the song and different forms of aggression and just absolute intimidation or just anger and force going forward. So being able to play around with that with two different vocal styles consistently on the same song, man, it gives a lot more leeway to where Pyscho-Frame can even go in the future to continue to create that high intensity sound, that just over the top aggressive sound in so many different capacities.
Yeah, and like that, you are right. That's a Coulter song. Like that one is like very highlighted on him. Coulter and I, like, we're both the main, lyric songwriters when it comes to the band, save for the one song Dave did. That was a song where I was like, yo, I'm your cheerleader here. Like this is your show on this song. And like that happens. Like, but at the end of the day, like, we're listening and we're just like, nah, this is just what it has to be. Like, this is what feels the most right. Cause like we'll always like try out different things, what if you do your thing here instead of me? And, like there's version that they probably don't exist anymore, but like when we're tracking, it's like, yeah, here's this version where like I am like more present in the song doing my thing. And it just didn't hit as hard or feel like as good as when Coulter did it. And we're like, this is what it was meant to be. And like those things work too, though, because it's like, yeah, you've got one guy who seems like, like he pretty much owns this one and everything, but like also like Coulter and I do such different things in the band that like kind of like makes the impact of when the other guy does show up and does his thing. It's like, oh, there it is, kind of thing. Like there's the sell on like, this big part or, this breakdown, whatever. And yeah, that song's awesome. That song is, the idea is like, yeah, rain check for God for the day. But it's like, the easiest way is to say it is like, God called in sick today. I'm picking up his shift.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah. And of course, we're a deathcore band. So like what I do with that shift is I'm going to kill you, kind of thing.
You got to have fun with it though. But the ability to be able to do something like that and let, of like other parts of the song, other parts of the band just be, the ones that run the show for that song. It allows you to have this feel of a mystery box every time you open up a brand new song as a fan. It's, well, who's going to be the focus on this one? What's the idea going to be? Where's this idea of a song going to go with me emotionally? You don't know. And that's the beauty of taking this and going forward. You just continue to enjoy it every step of the way. And the surprise factor is what keeps people coming back, because even as they listen to these songs over and over again, they're still going to remember that surprise factor, and that's be something that they latch on to every time upon repeat listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that song is awesome. And I am excited to see how people like, interpret some of these songs. especially like tonally, because
Mhm.
like, um, like we write it with one thing in mind, but it is like kind of fun to see like how people react and like how it resonates with them and like what those things mean to them. Because there are plenty of times where I'm like, that is actually not what I was thinking, but I get it. And like, I don't know, that's interesting. That's fun. Like when we put out Black Wave yesterday, I was seeing some people be like, "Holy shit, did Pyscho-Frame just get political?" Like kind of thing, and I was like, "Yeah, like a little bit. Like it's a little one issue focus, but like yeah, totally." And like I don't know, there's just like okay, you guys got exactly what I was saying with this one,
Mhm.
and like that's cool. Other times you know, I won't pretend like the band is like super upfront and forward about like what every song is about and like makes it obvious or anything. But like there is kind of like a lot of that leaves a lot of room for play on just like how people take it and I read that shit, like I read a lot of stuff that people say about the band and stuff like that just because I get curious. Which I know can be like a pitfall for a lot
Mhm.
of people, but like I'm lucky enough right now that like the general consensus is yeah, we're not going to be mean about this band for now. Who knows? Maybe
Mhm.
that changes in the future, but like um yeah, that's really cool.
It's really cool, and I still think that it's going to be fun to see what happens on album release day with all these songs coming out, especially with the people that are dedicated in the band already or dedicated fans, and the people that are going to continue to come into this band as these songs get released. What their interpretations are going to be of the style, what their interpretations are going to be of the meanings of the songs, and how they connect with them, because that can take a song that maybe you weren't entirely sure about for a person into one that really attaches to them and means so much to them because the meaning that they take from it is so personal to them that the sound you created for a completely different idea means something so spectacular to them that they resonate with it beyond belief. I mean, we have all have songs like that. Like there's songs that you probably listen to, maybe some of your top 5 favorite songs of all time, where the meaning you took from it is completely different from what the artist intended, but that doesn't diminish anything from the song. It just makes it more connective towards you. That's the beauty of music, and I believe that on an album release day and then going forward, people that really like Pyscho-Frame, people that are going to get into Pyscho-Frame are going to have that same exact experience.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I got one last question I want to ask before we wrap this up because we're getting close to that hour marker and kind of got to get back to work on my other job. So the last question I
Hey,
have
I'm
for you
pro time
is,
theft.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. But the last question I have for you is something I love to ask every single artist I bring on the podcast. It's a way for us to get to enjoy more new music and for you to get support the music you love. I'm limited to 3 because otherwise we could be here all day. But
Yeah,
can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
3 bands I love. I would love to see more people get into Balmora. Balmora is a great band from the Northeast. They're a metalcore band. Um, Very much true to like OG metalcore, like, Angel
Mm-hmm.
Statue shit. Awesome band, awesome guys. Though we played some of our first shows with the band with them, and I just love everything that they've put out. They're a great band. They're good people. I know we're going on tour with them, but Boundaries, um, those are very good friends of mine, and like they've been crushing it right now, and like they're on a huge come up. But I just want to stress more and more that like I want people to support that band because like I love those guys. I think they make just awesome music, and um, yeah, man, they are ride or die for this. Like they are lifers, and they're awesome. And then listen to Jason Isbell.
Okay.
Jason Isbell's like an Americana artist, but like he's like one of my absolute favorites. So like huge, genre twist here for my third answer, I guess. But it's grown ass music made for grown ass people. Like it's just it's good shit, and like I draw a lot of inspiration from him, and even in a band like this, and like I make some references on the record to some Jason Isbell songs. So like if if that's a thing that people care about and like they can pick it out, like that's really cool because that's like where I draw like so much of my inspiration from, because like I just really like the way that Jason talks about things in his songs. And yeah, that's my answer.
Some good answers. Love what you put in there. Throw a little bit of different stuff in there for us too, because it can't all, we all love different kinds of music. It can't just all be, heavy music. So thanks for the Jason Isbell one in there. But Mike, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the Chord Progression Podcast. This was an absolute blast, but we got to close up out with 3 specific things. So first things first, for everyone listening, this is Pyscho-Frame. They've got a brand new album called Salvation Laughs the Face of the Grieving Mother coming out on July 25th of 2025. And they're going to be going on tour with Boundaries right after that happens, so that you can go and see all of this live and really, really enjoy it too, along with seeing Boundaries as well, and stick to your guns. Ooh, yeah, did I say that? I did say that because they were on the podcast earlier this year. So go straight to the podcast where it says find Pyscho-Frame online. Links for everything going to be down there for where you can stream the album, listen to the album, buy the album, or you can check out some merch where you can not only go get your tickets for any shows that are not sold out, because I know that tour was selling out like crazy, and go follow them on social media. Go watch YouTube videos. Go support the band any way you can. All the links are down there, so go and take care of that. Now it's time for number 2, Mike. Whenever guests on the podcast or on the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. I wish you continue to support the band in the future. You absolutely hit on this, and I get to do this a little bit differently, because usually I say when I get to see you perform live for the first time, and that's because we don't have a day or time set. But this one is different, because I got to get the day right, though. On August 3rd of 2025, literally a week after this album releases, you guys are going to be playing with Boundaries at X-Ray Arcade in Cudahy, Wisconsin, which is a small town, suburb of Milwaukee, which is where I'm in. And I got a ticket to that show. So on that day, when I get to see you perform live, I will come and find you. I'll come and say hi to you, but that's not the actual promise. The promise is first round's on me.
That's awesome. I don't drink. But if you want to buy me a Diet Coke, I'm so in.
That's why I say first round, not like first beer or first, whatever. First round, it could be anything. I've brought in like, non-alcoholic Topo Chicos before for Damon from Of Virtue. I've done it all, so it's been nuts. But now we'll make that happen. Now, step number 3, Mike. As we bring this to conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. I'd love to have you back on the podcast again in the future. And I made you that promise. I'll see you August 3rd. So this is not goodbye, my friend. This is I'll see you later.
That's right.
Woo! Well, folks, that was my interview with Mike from Pyscho-Frame. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. Man, when he talked about, just feeling like he's waiting for this ride to end, I got a little concerned about that one, a little nervous. I'm like, dude, your band is popping off right now. Why are you feeling nervous, or why are you waiting for this end? It's like, in my mindset, it feels like I'm waiting for something to go wrong, and when you think something's going wrong, it's going to go wrong. But right now, nothing's going wrong for Pyscho-Frame. But it makes sense to where he's thinking about, especially from the creative side. When initially the band was conceived, it's like this was never really meant to go anywhere, and all of a sudden it just continues to roll and go. That's something you're not necessarily expecting. It kind of can freak you out a little bit, but it absolutely is understandable. And then when it comes to the numbers game, yeah, you're kind of waiting for statistics to catch up to you. But if Pyscho-Frame keeps making this kind of music, especially what they did on this album, not only with what they did already and what they're doing on the songs that are still yet to be released, like we talked about with Apocalypse Through Lysergic Possession, I Won't Be There to Watch You Go, and God Is Busy. Yeah, there is so much more for this band to even show off that they haven't even realized yet. And it's going to happen. It's going to be shown. You just got to be ready for it. But I'm curious to see how this is going to continue to evolve, especially with heavy music having such such a great time in the 2020s. I hope that they continue to capitalize on what their idea is for their sound and continue to grow it. I want to thank Mike for being the podcast when it comes to Pyscho-Frame. Go straight for the podcast below. Link symbols for everything will be down there for you to check out the brand new album. Order it, get a vinyl of it. See him on tour with Boundaries if the shows haven't sold out yet. If you're in Milwaukee, yeah, those shows sold out really quickly, so too bad, but I'm going. And to go connect them on social media, following them, all the description of the podcast below are those links. Also, our links for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, links to the podcast below. Hit subscribe right down here if you're on YouTube. Hit the follow or subscribe button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to make sure you're not missing out on any Chord Progression Podcast episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday. Beyond that, though, thank you. Hit the like button on these episodes too to help push in the algorithm. Thank you. And that's going to be it. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how every single one of them is big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.